Hey there, this is K4A, Knowledge for All educational videos and tutorials. In today's video I will talk about downloading, installing Unity, but more in like informative way, like without concrete examples of me downloading, installing it and so on, not only because I already did that long time ago, but also because it would take me lots of time and I'm also lazy for it, and also because that can actually be very complex and not only time consuming, but you also have to think about a couple of issues which I will try to warn you about, and that's one of the biggest things I don't like it about Unity, especially maybe more than Unreal, is that because they have lots of different versions, and especially if you're collaborating with other people and so on, it can get messy really fast, or even as a solo indie developer. um, yeah, let's see that in practice so you will understand when you see it. So in previous video we have learned that Unity is just a tool, a set of tools mostly used in game development, and there are other products in this ecosystem. And in this video I have opened two links. The first one is when you click on DevTools, download Unity, that one, and the other one is see plans and pricing. Those two are connected because before you start working on it or anything, you want to know, or you should at least you should think about how much it would cost you. So the good thing about Unity is that it's free, so that's one thing not to worry about. And there are also other versions. When you grow as a company or make money on it, then you pay some percentage or whatever. You have to buy some kind of pro version, we will see that, but the more interesting and more confusing thing is that because Unity is always upgrading itself and growing as a company, as also Unreal is, they try to add so many stuff in it. That's one thing I hate in Unity, and the whole engine, the whole software, which Unity is. Unity is just a tool, a software application. It becomes bigger and bigger and more massive and massive, and it takes time more to install, to use, to update, to upgrade, and so on. So it's crazy. If you are into small to intermediate games, especially 2D, I would not recommend using Unity at all. I would go for Game Maker, Godot, other 2D game engines which are really fast and great to use. And even for some, if you have to pay for some, it will again be very small amount of money compared to time which you would use to learn or use Unity in terms of how big that animal is. Okay, so when I click on DevTools, download Unity, I get this web page here, which gives me option to download Unity, and that looks great in terms of download for Windows. But the problem here is that you have other step to, I think you need actually, I think this is not an optional step, but you first have to download Unity Hub, at least for newer versions. And I think this Unity Hub is even okay thing. That's another application again on top of Unity, or below Unity, next to Unity. And this Unity Hub application, it serves to keep track of all Unity versions you have. So again, if you think, okay, I need only just one version, why would I need this? Yeah, that's how it goes. I think this is a must-have, maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, they push this as something which is normal, and again, that even makes sense to me in terms of you will unfortunately have more than one versions of Unity sooner or later, so at least this this hub helps you to keep track of it. So when you download the Unity hub and take care of that, then you can start with downloading and installing Unity. So first thing is download the Unity hub, install it, so you can then choose your Unity version. This is again where the fun begins, and because there are so many versions of Unity and they keep upgrading it all the time. It's almost like daily versions of it, and they keep adding more and more features, and because that was what I was talking about here about solutions, because they try to cover all of those industries, not only gaming but also automotive, movies, engineering, construction, architecture, gambling, blah blah blah. They try to add features for all of those different industries and Unity for those industries, so it's like constant race without end, endless runner. Yeah, so you would have someone to help you, or you can go for I can recommend using this latest stable release. That's, I think, even recommended but Unity. But again, just downloading the latest version of Unity, it's not 100% sure that you will get what you need, or that is the best choice. And again, after some short period of time, you will see some new stuff in new versions and so on. So it's like endless cycle, and that cycle is more visible if you work in some bigger team, or for bigger game company and so on. So if they try to push new features into the game, then they download the new Unity, and then you have to update the old files or check out or whatever. You just keep on switching from one to another, which is, I hate that. And I think that's normal to avoid all of those problems. So there is some kind of download archive where you can pick almost every possible version of Unity, and we will see that's crazy amount of those, and then you can start creating your game project whenever or whatever you want to use Unity for. So two steps. First one is Unity Hub, then Unity. For Unity Hub and for Unity in general, system requirements are not so heavy compared to Unreal. You can use, I think, even for Unity, you can use Windows 7. I use Windows 7. It's old system, Windows system, and that's great. Also, graphics card with DirectX 10. So that's at least a good thing. So again, this is lowest system requirements. If you want new stuff, new features, and to work faster, then normally you would need better computer, better hardware. You will have, I will leave this link in description of this video, but again, this is relatively easy to download Unity Hub and then start using it. Also, this is Visual Studio, I think, icon for coding in Unity, so you would need to install that also. and you would need lots of prerequisites in terms of libraries, but most of those is covered by Unity installation itself. Okay, that's more or less it in terms of what I wanted to tell you here. So when you go to download archive, which I said is second step, if you're a noob, if you're new to game development, game engines, and so on, you would probably, and not only new, everyone should be confused probably with all of those. Look how many of those are here, and that is what I hate about. I mean, hate. I don't like about Unity and those bigger game engines. Yeah, it's like some crazy, and this is only for 2022, I think. Yeah, yeah. There is also 21, 20, and so on. So all the way to Unity 5, which is I think the first one or something like that version in terms of they've started with that Unity in 2005 or something like that, 20 years ago. So yeah, how you pick Unity and what Unity you need, and even if you click on these downloads win, you probably get confused. What do I need here? Installer, 64-bit, shader, accelerator, torrent. Okay, same for Mac and Linux. So yeah, you would probably use simple first version installer or something like that, and it would work. But again, all of those versions, not only they probably scare you or confuse you, they on long term, and again, if you work in a team with some remote workers or teammates, and someone is using, for example, older version, like I'm using a 2022.2.11, I cannot open your files in 2022.2.16. So be precise about that if you're working with a couple of people in your team, or want to share your files with other people. Not also that, but we will see that in a next video maybe. When you use Unity assets, which you can buy at Unity Asset Store or create yourself, some of those don't work with some of those versions, so you have to also check that. So for example, I can buy some plugin or some effect, visual effects or something like that, and it's not made for Unity 2022.2.15, but it was latest release was Unity 2019 or something like that. So it will give you lots of errors when you try to use some plugin which is not made for some Unity version, or if you try to share files from one to another. And again, that's not unusual in terms of software. If you're using other stuff, like I cannot open Adobe Photoshop file, the newest version, with some kind of old Photoshop, and opposite is true. If I have the newest Photoshop, I can open the older files. Same here, I can open the older files with this latest release. So if I have this latest Unity installed, I can open all of those earlier versions, but even then I will get some errors, and that's what drives me crazy. But again, it's not only Unity, it's also in Unity. I think it's most obvious and most it's craziest, but it's also in some other game engines big, like Unreal, and even you saw I think in Game Maker they have also some funny files naming in terms of many of those, and even some tutorial which we have explored in Game Maker earlier gave me error when I try to open it and so on. So it's not unusual to have those. So what I would recommend here is not to download the latest version in terms of Unity, but go with download LTS releases. Why? Because those LTS releases are so-called long-term support releases, and Unity is like trying to guarantee you that those releases will work for a long time, because yeah, all of those releases, actually, what are those and why Unity is making those? As I said before, because they're trying like to improve all the time and add new feature, which is crazy. Sometimes they add some kind of feature and latest give up on that. Like, I don't know, we will try to make I don't know, some kind of feature in engine, like you can import, I don't know, 3D model with zillions of polygons, and then later, few months or years later, they give up on that and say, okay, we made a mistake, that's impossible, this is going out, and so on. So and you, in the meantime, you wait for that, you need that for your game or something like that, which is also crazy. So these stable releases, they are working on those constantly, and they can like give you guarantee that your game won't crash if you use it. You will have like full working environment, and it's bulletproof in terms of industry proven and so on. So it's more stable, but more maybe basic in terms of not everything new and so on. But again, you will not use, like, I don't know, most of the features in Unity anyway, because those are crazy. They are just adding and adding those, like, I don't know, they're like competing with someone, um, instead of finishing what they already started or what community asks for. Yeah, so I'm also using myself, I think I have one or two different options of those latest stable releases, because I have, I don't know, maybe 2019, because of some files I have older, and then I installed one of those newer, again, because I had to install some plugin or test some other file, or I don't even remember anymore. Okay, that was about this madness of different Unity versions, and again, my advice is go for long-term support release. Check out the system requirements, but in general, you should be able to download if you have some kind of medium computer with not very new, and you can check those system requirements if you just Google for it. I have clicked on this first Google search result, and it gave me requirements for Unity 2021.1, and you can use it on Windows 7, DirectX 10 and higher, hardware and so on, 64-bit architecture and so on. So it should be able to run on not so high-end computers, and there are different statistics here and requirements for different. Yeah, you can even see here how many different platforms Unity tries to cover. Not only different industries, as we said here, but you can use this tool Unity to make applications, game, software, presentation for PC, Mac, Linux, AR, VR, iOS, Android, I don't know, all. They try to cover all of those um, operating systems and hardware, and they try to keep up with it all the time, because all of those Oculus, Windows Magic Leap, AR, VR, WebGL, Stadia consoles, they develop independently from Unity, and Unity then has to adapt to those. So it's crazy stuff, and you as a developer, thank, thanksly, thank, thanks to God, you don't even have to know all of that or care about that, but it's just, again, just a piece of information to have in mind, just why is that race constant. Yeah, one more thing and that's it. When you click on plans and pricing, you can see that for student or personal use it's free. Unity is free, which is great, and even if you make money, as long as you make less than 100,000 dollars, so it's 100k, $100,000 in 1 year, you're not you don't have to go pro, you don't have to buy pro version, as long as you are less than that revenue. If you make less than it, that's cool, I don't have to pay anything. And if you start making more than $100,000, which is great, if you do that, then the least problem you will have is to buy personal seat for your company and pay 2,000 or a little bit less, 1,000, and so 877 euros, and that's it. Yeah, then you have some kind of customer support and so on, so we're not going to talk about that. And that's it. Yeah, so we have talked about Unity in terms of general stuff so far. A couple of more videos like that, I think, and then we will finally open the Unity and see how crazy this tool actually is. See you then, see you in next videos.